Hey guys, in this video we'll be continuing with the Python tutorials. In this video we'll be going over, so we'll be starting the string operations. So in this chapter we'll be going over string operations, so we're starting off with just like basic operations. So Python provides several ways to access the individual characters in a string. Strings also have methods that allow you to perform operations on them. So obviously we've used strings so far only in kind of simple ways. So we've just done mostly just I/O stuff, input output. So now we'll be doing some other stuff. So an examples of strings that you will use in the future if you're in the kind of coding profession. So word processing programs use them. Email uses them. Search engines and stuff use them. So use them a lot on the internet. Obviously everything's written in a string. App data and all that's all written in strings mostly. So you'll be using them pretty much everywhere. So there's different ways you can manipulate strings. Python has different methods and techniques to use. Strings are a type of sequence, so many of the sequence topics that we learned already, they can also be applied to strings. So we'll start with accessing the individual characters in a string. For example, like password. So you need this stuff for like password creation, personal information creation on like login pages, stuff like that. You need to verify each letter. Verification pages like banks or any login place basically. You need to verify things. So we can use a for loop and indexing. It's pretty easy. Once you get it, so we'll just do some examples here. You just use like the syntax like this. So we'll just I'll start writing in pycharm in the IDE. So this is like the form of it. So we say like for var in string or str whatever. Then we just loop through like that. So it's going to automatically get each character just like a list, just like a tuple, just like anything pretty much. So var is a variable. So either you could say var, val, whatever. String is a string literal that refers to a string. Each time the loop iterates, variable will reference a copy of a character starting at index 0. So strings start at index 0. We've gone over that. So if string is the string, then s is index 0, t is index 1, r is index 2, 3, 4, 5. So just like that, left to right. Same exact thing as lists. So we can have an example here. So we can have like name str points to just like something like that, watermelon. So then on the next line we can say for let's char a Might be able to use char, so we'll say for char in name str, so each character. You can also use ch, they use ch and c sometimes in Python as well. I don't really like variables that short. They don't really help me with what I'm kind of doing. They didn't really tell me that much. Sometimes you might like them. For example, in this case, ch might work for you. But I'd rather use char, so for char in name str. Then we'll say print char. So we can run it. So we have watermelon going down. Can we say end equals nothing? No space in there. So we can. So that's a good way to impress your professor. So if you want to print everything on one line, you can say end. So you can say comma end points to empty quotes. Like that. So let's just pretend we don't have that, even though it's a good thing to remember. Let's say we have that. Let's set up a breakpoint here, I guess, since we don't have a main. We'll click the debug icon in the top right corner. Just let that load for a sec. It's probably already loaded. Okay, so what we have here, some extra boxes. Okay, let's stop that. Alright, so we have so let me just redo that. Control S, hit the debug icon. So now, we're starting here at name str points to the string watermelon. Now if I step into that, actually we didn't need to step into that, we could have just stepped over that. So as you can see here, we have the name str pointing to, it's telling us that it's an str and it's pointing to the string watermelon. So now we're starting this for loop for char and name str, so char is going to start at index 0. Char is going to point to, it is going to be index 0, but it's just going to, I guess here it's just going to tell us that it's holding w, which is an index 0. Then it's going to print that char. And in the output we can see that we have w right there. So if we click back on the debugger icon, we can see that we have so we just printed out the character. Now we're back at this we're at the condition, the for loop condition. So it's going to check if it's still within the bounds of the name str. So in this case, 0 is going to increment by 1. It's not showing us 0 this time, but you can just remember that it starts at index 0. So it's going to add 0 to 1 and move to that A, which is index 1. So when I step in, char will now point to A. And it'll print the char A. And that's going to continue on. So as you can see, we have WA. It's going to come back up to the for loop, check if the char is still within the end of the string. It's now going to shift from 1 to 2, so that A is going to increment to T when I step in. And it's going to print out the T, and that's just going to continue till the end of the string, so I'll just keep stepping over that. You can see that in the console. There we have watermelon printed out. And then it's finally going to check if the char is still within the bounds of the string once it gets to 0, 1, 2, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So once it gets beyond index 9, so index 10, it's going to become, this loop's going to become false. Therefore this block will get skipped. There's no more code, so in that case the code will be done. So let's just move on to the next example. So we just iterated over a string in Python. Now we'll do a longer example. Actually, we have another example here, so we can actually show how the char variable references a copy of the character from the string as the loop iterates, so you can save it to a variable. So if we change the value that ch references in the loop, it has no effect on the string. It has no effect on the string referenced by name str, so we can demonstrate that. I believe that's because I believe strings are immutable in Python. So pretty much almost every language, that's the same thing. So you can't really append a character onto the end of a string, technically. I mean, you can copy it and move them around, but they're technically immutable. Immutable means that they're not mutable, so you know they can't be changed. And Python strings are made immutable so that programmers cannot alter the contents of the object, even by mistake. This avoids unnecessary bugs. Some other immutable objects are integer, float, tuple, and bool. So don't worry about that, it can be confusing. You'll know how it works once you work with them. So let's just move on to that example here. We have our name str pointing to, let's change it up this time, maybe we'll point it to something else. Maybe point to like gravy or something. So name str getting to that holiday season again. So gravy. So name str points to gravy. So we can say for char in name str. We can say char points to some character. Let's go with anything. Then we'll print the name str. So we'll print out the name str here. Print name str. What's wrong with this? Just a warning. Okay, so name str. So sorry, name str points to gravy. Then so for char in name str, you know what's gonna happen because we just did it. So basically, once again, it's gonna loop through the whole string starting at index 0. In this case, it's gonna start at G, and it's saying, okay, well char points to Q. But the thing is, nothing's changing, as you can see. It's trying to, basically this example just shows that the string is immutable in this sense. Because if you're doing this with a list, it would change. If you're storing a string in a list, then it would be able to change. We've done that example in the past. The index would actually change, if you guys can recall if you watch the series. Alright, so moving on, we'll just move on to the next example. Actually, we'll just have a little description here. So the statement basically reassigns the char variable to a different value each time the loop iterates. It has no effect on the string. Gravy. We shouldn't have called it name string, maybe food string, but that's okay. It's the name of the food, so that's alright. So then we have, so it has no effect on the number of times the loop iterates. So in the next example, it's a longer example, but the code has to use it to enter a string. It then uses a for loop to iterate over the string, counting the number of times that the letter T, uppercase or lowercase, appears. So we could do T or something else, whatever. These are just from my notes, so let's just go on with that example. So let's delete this. We'll have a main function here, so def main. We'll say I points to 0. So we can say str points to the input function. So we'll say enter a string. We can put a new line in there too. So we can count the letters, so we can say for char in str. I'm pretty sure we're just going to increment I here. We're just going to pretty much say, we just have to check, so for char in str, if char is equal to, let's go with a, capital, so let's go with lowercase a, or char is equal to uppercase A. You could check for anything, obviously. So if char is equal to lowercase a, or char is equal to uppercase A, if statement needs a snake eyes on the end, then we'll say I points to I plus 1, or you can say I plus equals 1. And after all that, we can jump out of the loop and we can say print the letter A appears I, comma, times. So obviously that's kind of unnecessary, you don't need to do that, but it's just a way to work with some more strings, some more practice. So we'll just save that and run it. And whoops, I always forget to call main, so we'll just call main at the bottom here. So enter a string, we'll go with apples. The letter A, comma A appears 1 times, or time. We could have maybe put like this. So let's go with like, just like, maybe ask. You guys thought I was gonna write something else. Tricked y'all, so here we go. So let's just try, actually, whoops, what happened there? Oh, I stopped it. Okay, so we'll just do that again. Hit enter. So it's telling us that the letter A appears 12 times. So there's our string there. Ask with K, so ask. We can pretty much, you can obviously check anything you want. So yeah, so let's just keep moving on here. Actually, I think, how long is that? Okay, it's been not half an hour yet, so it's getting on to half an hour. So pretty much that's just like the introduction to, maybe you can just do a little bit more here. So let's just go over indexing as well. So another way that you can access the individual characters in a string is with an index, so that's why it's called indexing. So we've done this already, with pretty much different loops and stuff. So each character in a string has an index that specifies its position in the string. Indexing always starts at 0, as I mentioned. The string starts at 0, index 0 on the left. So the index of the first character is 0. The index of the second character is 1. So the index of the last character in a string is 1 less than the number of characters in the string, or the length. So basically the index is 0 to length minus 1. The last index equals to the length or len function of the length minus 1. That's pretty much it, so we can just do an example here. So of course there's also spaces in strings, so we can have str points to the string. Roses are blue. We can have here char points to str of index. So use the list, or use the square brackets to get an index. So we can say we go with like 8. So char points to the str of index 8. So that's going to be R0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So spaces count as an index in a string literal. So this should give us E, I think. So 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yeah, so we should get E. We should get E. So then we can print out char. Save it and run it. Here we go, we got E. So there you guys go. So you can also get a copy of a character from a string. So what we can do is we can have same thing, str points to roses are blue. Print out print out str. So yeah, so pretty much we just did that. So you can print multiple indexes on the same line. So you could just do this in a print statement. So we could have print. You can call str of index 0, str of index 7, and str of index 9, whatever you want. So you can print that. So then we have R, and probably a space. So let's see, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Yeah, so there's a space in there. So if you print out 9, print out str of string index 10, we'll get R space and B. So you can also use negative numbers as indexes, which is kind of a common thing in Python. You can have negative indexes across indexes of anything. So you can use negative numbers as indexes to identify character positions relative to the end of the string. The Python interpreter adds negative indexes to the length of the string to determine the character position. The index -1 identifies the last character in a string, so it's not -0, it's -1. And -2 is the next to last character, so the second last character. So let's just finish up with this example. We can have 0, we can print out -1, -2, -3, and we'll skip 1 and print out -5. So let's save that and print it. So we have print out str of string index 0, which is R. Then print out string index of -1, that's going to be E. Print out -2, which is U. Print out -3, which is -1, -2, -3, and -5. Is it a -1, -2, -3, -4, -5? Okay, so it's a space. Then we'll print out str of string index -6. That should give us E. So there you go. Yep, so that's an E. So there you go, guys. Thanks for watching. If you guys like the video, you can like and subscribe if you learned something, if you like the channel. If you want to see more programming tutorials in different languages, or learn full languages from the start to beginning, and also investing tutorials, you can subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time. Thanks for watching.